Ring entrances are incredibly challenging for our dogs because they have to move through an enormous amount of pressure to get into the ring. So in this example, you're going to see she has to move past all those people, past the barriers. There are lots of people at the steward's table, a steward behind her, and a judge in front of her. That's an enormous amount of pressure that the dogs need to move through, and that can really deflate them. So the very first step I take in teaching my dogs how to go into a ring entrance is I just set up something very simple. It can be as simple as 2 cones that you're going to see here in a minute. And I'm treating this as a pressure exercise. What I want to do is reward the dog before they even think about looking at the ring entrance. So you can see I'm so far back that you can't even see the cones right now, but there are 2 cones over here. So this is young Zesty. We took a couple steps towards it, and I mark, then release him off the pressure by moving backwards, right? So that takes him away from the pressure. Then I reward. So I always mark, then back away first. That's super important. Then I reward. So I marked, I backed up, now I'm going to feed. Now we're going to do it again. We're going to go a little bit closer this time, but I'm still not going to go so close that he's going to fail. So I marked and I backed up. We're still so far away that you can't see the cones. Now, you see with Zesty, he's done this before, that the closer we get to the cones, the more he bounces. I'm not asking him to do that. He's driving into me. He's super excited because he says, any second now, you're going to release me. I know how to play this game. So now, instead of approaching the cones and saying, and the dog thinking, oh my, what's that? There's pressure. I'm a little conflicted. I want to look. I'm not supposed to look. Instead of that, he's happy and excited to be heading towards the cones, and that's what we want. So now we're going to go even closer yet. So we're able to get closer and closer and closer, and he doesn't even drop his eyes to look at the cone at all. Why? Because I'm working this very incrementally, and I'm making sure that every time I release him early before he drops his eyes or looks away. And now we made it all the way through successfully, and he thinks this is just a super fun game. If my dog were to look away, which is going to happen because we're human and we're going to miscalculate and just push a little too far at some point, no big deal. I'm still going to release my dog and feed. Don't worry, you're not teaching them to look away, I promise you. But if you tell the dog they're wrong, all you're doing is adding pressure to pressure. So they feel pressure from the cones or the barriers, and now you're adding pressure on top of that. Never a good thing. Never add pressure to pressure. Just release them, give them a cookie, no big deal, and make absolutely sure that on the next rep, you mark, release, and reward before the dog looks away, and get in a few reps like that. I've done this game many times with many different dogs and many students' dogs. After a while, once they understand how this game works, all it does is create a dog that's happy and excited and driving into you as you approach and go through the ring entrance. And that is going to set you up for a successful run at your next competition.